Westrive.
And I really truly believe that anybody can be successful. It just takes hard work.
You're about to embark on a journey where you're going to walk on a lot of glass and eat thorns.
I believe that anyone who is a startup is absolutely privileged because they get to leave a legacy behind. They get to actually create something that makes a difference in the world.
Welcome to Season 3 of the Westrive podcast, brought to you by the Westrive app, where we are the first marketplace for the personal training industry. Search through thousands of fitness plans from hundreds of certified trainers in the app, or sign up as a trainer at westriveapp.com. On this podcast, we interview entrepreneurs that are changing the world. We've had millionaire founders, top-level investors, and just some of the most inspiring people that you'll ever meet. Entrepreneurship is all about striving for greatness, and I hope the stories you hear on this podcast inspire you to go out and become a better version of yourself. Now, let's get to the episode.
We strive.
This week we have Martin Rowinski on the podcast. He's an amazing tech executive based out of California. He grew up in Poland in a very similar situation to the coronavirus, having to wait in line for his parents to get food and all that kind of stuff. We touch on how toilet paper also back then was not an issue, so I think we need to address that as a country. But he's an amazing tech executive. He currently runs this company called boardsi, which basically, if you need board executives for your company, that's the place to go. An absolutely amazing company, and I'm really excited to have him on the podcast. He brings a lot of really cool perspectives from his amazing roles that he's had with the tech world over the years, and I really hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Sounds great. So this is Martin Rowinski, and I'm the CEO at boardsi. And basically, actually, I'll start out with this. So boardsi is spelled Boardsi, and some people pronounce it boardsi, and some people pronounce it boardsi. We try to stick with boardsi, like bullseye, like the old saying says. Some people say tomato, some people say tomato, but either way, they both work. So yes, I work at boardsi, and I am one of the founders. And not sure how deep you want me to get into boardsi now. We can do that later, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start. And a couple things. Yeah, I thought it was boardsi
See?
Yeah. But I gotta say though, you guys should do a campaign where you're like, we're gonna help you get a board's eye view. I think that'd be pretty good.
Ooh, I like it.
That's a pretty good little play on words there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So we're gonna start off real quick here. So, what makes you an entrepreneur?
That's a great question, Corey. At the end, what makes anyone an entrepreneur? And does it mean that somebody has an idea and they go out and open up a business and they set some goals and work hard to obviously achieve those goals and possibly go and try to raise money? And does that make him anything different than somebody that's bootstrapping their business, or even more, a guy that's just doing consulting? For me, it's probably a little bit unique, but I don't think it's that unique. I was born and raised up until age 10 in Poland. And I don't want to age myself, but at the time I lived in Poland was communist. Not like it is right now. So yeah, I lived through shortage of food, and the only closest experience I've had in U.S. is actually when coronavirus hit and everybody went out and bought a bunch of toilet paper and everybody was out.
That's crazy. You're like, don't worry, guys, I've been here.
Yeah, been here. Actually, one thing I don't remember is being out of toilet paper in Poland. So
yeah.
So we had plenty of that, I guess, or at least I don't remember.
You Polish have a lot of toilet paper, man. I've been saying it for years.
But as far as running out of meat or bread or standing in lines for my mom super early in the morning, those are my memories. So I obviously was raised in a country that didn't have much, and being in a communist country, everybody's kind of raised you're basically going to work for the government, and I kind of was a rebel. I didn't believe that from the get-go. So coming to the U.S. and growing up here, I had a whole different vision. I mean, it was like an eye opener to me. Walking into a store and not standing in lines, seeing just the shelves are full of everything. And as I grew up and got older, it became like that with opportunities, and just they were everywhere. And all you had to do be positive, be open-minded, and figure out your niche. So I actually started in high school, and I did a little graphic design. Had no idea exactly what I was doing, but made a few clients and made a few bucks on the side. So that definitely helped out. But at the end, back to your question, what makes an entrepreneur? I think that he or she definitely must have a strong inner drive that helps him or her to succeed. I mean, it takes a lot of will, drive, and you have to be ready to fail. I think just like in sports, you're definitely going to have a lot more fails than successes. And if you don't get up and keep going, then you might as well consider your last fail your last fail. I think he or she should be excited to get to work and meet the goals that they set for themselves. I don't believe in an 8 to 5 hour shift that somebody's working. I believe that we as entrepreneurs should be able to achieve personal and business goals with the flexibility of a schedule. So you might not work an 8 to 5, but I don't think that working 12-hour days and putting your family aside is also the right thing to do. So I think having that flexibility comes with responsibility. In my case, prior to coronavirus and being quarantined in my house, my general day would look like, Monday through Friday at least, get going as early as 5 a.m., read Bible, get into the gym, get all that out of the way. And I felt like being in the gym sometime around 6 a.m. and, getting back to the house by 8:30. But that really kind of kicked off my day in a positive way, whether it's, creating the blood flow, waking up the mind, getting the creative going. That just started my day off right. And then after that, you work through your day and you hit certain goals, whether it's, phone calls or meetings or just the basic grinds of running a business. I also believe that entrepreneurs are very unique, and they kind of go with the old saying of jack of all trades and master of none. I think that's a good thing for an entrepreneur, because I might not be a master at finances or ever be a CFO, but I can definitely hire one or bring one on. So to get those niche masters that you might need for your business, you can eventually hire those people to help you out. But having a good, well-rounded idea around everything that's happening in a business, I think that's a key, especially in today's world where everything is IT driven. It's all technology. And if you just have no idea how to get around that, then obviously you're relying on somebody and you have to trust them. And I've seen people trust, certain technology people and then be taken advantage of. So I think you need to definitely have some kind of an idea of what's going on in all the different trades.
That's one thing that I've has kind of been like a key takeaway from most of the episodes I've recorded with, especially with experienced entrepreneurs like yourself, is that, and I've seen the same thing with my own business. It's that if you only understand one part of the business, you're never going to be that amazing entrepreneur. Like, you have to be able to understand the entire encompassment. I don't even know if that's a word or not, but the entire
It is now.
It is not.
No, it is now. It's a word
okay,
now.
cool, perfect. Yeah. Well, I know. I'm actually. Let me Google that really quick. Encompassment. That is a word. Cool. Good to know.
There you go.
The entire encompassment of your. I don't even know why I was saying it now. Okay, cool. But Yeah, I mean, basically, like what once you learn all these different concepts of your business, it just helps you have a better mastery. And it's kind of funny. One of our newer investors is like a senior developer over at Airbnb, and I was telling him I was getting sick because I don't understand a lot of technology. I'm pretty good at problem solving and kind of like understanding a good grasp of how the tech works and like why it fails and that kind of stuff, but I didn't know any coding languages. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to learn Python, and he had just invested, and he was like, you are not going to go spend months and months, potentially a year, learning a coding language. Like, you're the CEO, what are you talking about? So I got shot down on that idea, but I think I'm going to take like a 101 course pretty soon, just to like kind of understand a little bit better knowledge of it. But yeah, I totally agree. Having like that overall grasp of every, from marketing to tech of your company, is extremely important.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, strongly agree with that.
yeah, absolutely. So you do some consulting for tech companies. We're not going to name them or anything like that, but like, what does your job entail when you come in as a tech consultant?
So yeah, my prior to boardsi, I did consulting for a company, and it wasn't my first time I've done consulting. I've done consulting prior to that. I've always used my experience from the couple jobs that I did have and not entrepreneurship, and help out other businesses. But the last consulting uh, was IT consulting, and basically I came to a business that they were using a CRM, Salesforce. A lot of companies use Salesforce. I was actually not familiar with Salesforce at that time, so took a bit of a learning curve. But I looked at their insights of an entire business overview, from start to finish, how they worked with a client, what they did with the client, and how the CRM interacted with that process. And basically just found a lot of holes that needed to be filled. There was a lot of wasted time. I mean, as an example, uh, they they utilized people in the CRM to do when they had to check on certain files for the clients. Basically, they would have to go out of CRM, log into a different system, download the logs of what's happened, also take screenshots if certain things were approved, and then go back to the CRM and upload it. And that was anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minute per file process for one person. And they had a bunch of people doing that because they had thousands of clients. So and then they had to go back and check once in a while if something wasn't done yet or complete or hasn't been approved, and they have to go back and keep checking it. So after spending some time analyzing the entire process, I basically brought on a team, and what we designed was code that ran in the CRM, and then it went outside the CRM into one of our own servers. And basically, the code would go and do the login, download the logs, take the screenshots, all in the background, and the process took about 10 seconds, and then bring everything and re-upload it into CRM and attach it to that client files. So within 10 to 15 seconds, everything that used to take them 45 minutes would be already there for them to look at, and then they can process it or do whatnot. But it was already attached in the CRM. So streamlining was basically what I did in this company.
Very cool, man. That's awesome. And so, let's talk a little bit about your company in '08. I mean, I'm
Oof.
gonna my the question I wrote was, break down what happened. I mean, everyone knows what happened. Um, on a side note, I was just thinking about this. I was thinking about like, there's probably so many filmmakers that are going to make movies about the coronavirus, and it's going to be kind of dumb because it's like, yeah, we were there. Like, what do you mean? You know, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, what are they going to even talk about that don't already know? Um, but yeah, like, can you tell us a little bit about kind of like how what your company was? I know it was involved in real estate, and then kind of just what happened when the stock market crashed and all that kind of stuff, and then like the steps you took moving forward.
Yeah, so I had a mortgage company. We did 90% refinance and 10% of new purchases, loans. So obviously, 2008 hit and people's home values diminished. Prior to the crash, obviously there was signs of it. They weren't major signs, and of course all the wholesale lenders kept telling me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, other companies as well, that everything is going to be okay. We're going to pull through this. Don't worry. We're restructuring the way we do loans. So, I kept my doors open and crossed my fingers and hope for the best. Obviously, it didn't pan out. So, prior to the crash, I used all of my experience to set up my mortgage company. I did a lot of, speaking of consulting, I did a lot of consulting for mortgage companies, and it was all basically to set up their marketing processes to generate leads. So, of course, at this point, my new venture, I basically used all of that experience and created it for myself. So things were really good prior to 2008. So yeah, I tried to leave my doors open as long as I could, keep my employees happy so that, they can go home and have a check. And at the end of it, you can only, when you're not bringing any money in, you can only hold on to your dream so much. And there was no other cash flow except, we had to refinance to make the fees and make the money. Since that completely stopped when everybody lost their home values and appraisals weren't coming in at what we needed them to come in at, we basically had to shut down the doors, and I had to reinvent myself once again.
That's rough, man. Yeah, I mean, so many people went through that, and it's just, I was still the opposite of dating myself. I was still in high school when that happened, so
rub it in.
So, it happened. Couldn't really tell you how it affected me. I mean, obviously there's second degree ways where I was affected by it, but yeah, I mean, I personally haven't gone through it. I mean, I feel bad too, because same thing with this coronavirus. I mean, it hasn't really affected me too much either, besides going to the gym. Like, I still work from home. I don't go to the bars anymore, obviously, but like that's good for me. So now I'm like I've a lot. I was already on a weight loss thing, but I've lost like 15 pounds in the past month and a half. So I'm already like it's just helping that, if anything. And we're actually probably going to close a funding round next week, which no one is doing. So it's like this really weird, like, I feel bad for everyone, obviously, but like, I feel like both these crises or whatever that word is, have not been bad for me. So I'm just sorry to happen to you, man. But then, so on a happier note, you had a company that you built up and sold. I don't know if it was like and we know it wasn't $1 billion, so I shouldn't say I don't know if it was $1 billion, but
it wasn't.
It wasn't. Okay, we got clarification.
It could have been.
Yeah. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about what that company was? And then I have a lot of other questions to kind of break down from there, but if you wanted to start with what it was, we can go from there.
Yeah. So after the mortgage, I sat in a corner and cried for a few months. Just kidding. I really didn't do that, but definitely took a break, meaning I just had to figure out what the next steps are. What am I going to do? What business opportunities lie out there? And I definitely watched a lot of my real estate friends go out and, kind of stick in the real estate, but they flip to, doing loan modifications or, something related to the real estate business. And I just, I looked at loan modification and really how many people were successful at it, and how, some people were taking money up front and then not delivering or not able to deliver. It was a lot of unknown pieces, and I just wanted nothing to do with it. I also made a vow that I wouldn't it destroyed me so bad. I just didn't want anything to do with real estate or mortgages, more importantly. Obviously, I'm back in owning a home and everything's great. So I definitely went through a real estate transaction. But myself, putting myself through that process, I just didn't want anything to do with it. And I had friends that felt the same way. So I partnered up with some friends and we just started throwing some ideas around. And we came up with a really crazy idea to start a search engine placement. So a lot of people would talk about, search engine optimization, and, going out and getting one client at a time and redoing their website and doing the keywords. And I mean, everybody knows that whole game. So obviously everybody Googles everything, even back in those days. People Bing some things, but Google is definitely the term to use. So we started a search engine placement company that basically we had a bunch of websites with listings that we would put up for businesses. And this is everything from a plumber to a hairstylist. And actually my wife at that time, or actually my wife at this time, still my wife, but at that time was just becoming a hairstylist. So we kind of used her as a sample. Can we really improve her business? And actually, we can watch it and track it because she's right next to me. Is her phone ringing? Is it really helping? And in our little town, she became known as the Google hairstylist because her name was popping up everywhere. If anybody typed in, haircut or hair color or anything, El Dorado Hills. People that were visiting from out of town. She had a lot of people like from New York that would come out here for weddings, and they would Google, hairstylist El Dorado Hills, and she popped up, and she got all these people that were just visiting as clients. So really watched her business actually blow up, and was and that's just after a few months. So we kind of felt like, okay, this actually might be something we can do. So we did. It actually became a very successful directory. It was very search engine optimized. It got a lot of positive feedback. Through that whole process, as we were going through different investors, we were questioned, is this a long-term, is this going to really work? Or is this some kind of a gimmick? One investor actually had a tie into Google. So they brought in an engineer on a phone call. And he was asking us questions and, trying to pin me to the wall with, how did you structure this? And I answered honestly how we did it. There was no big magic. It was just content and the keywords that were correctly structured. And, his feedback to investors was, yeah, sounds like they're doing a great job. Exactly what Google looks for. So that what went wrong with that one. So we went out and brought on a team, and this is where the investor came from. One of the investors came from, but we brought on a team that was supposed to, and this was a CEO. So at this point, I stepped down as CEO and became a CTO, and a COO. And basically, they were supposed to be taking us and helping us to the exit strategy. So being still a young entrepreneur at this point, and this was probably one of my bigger companies as far as money making, employee size, I listened. We basically listened, and we were hoping for guidance. And lesson learned from this one was, we didn't do our due diligence in checking and making sure that these people were legit and they had success before. They sounded great, don't get me wrong, but at the end it was just probably a good year of arguing, and it just wasn't a good fit. So me and my partner basically ended up selling our portion and walking away. Definitely a dime to a dollar. But after that, it all kind of, from what I hear, it all kind of, I don't know what happened, but I didn't hear anything great about it. So us walking away was a good thing.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you got out when you could make a profit on it and not have to deal with it.
Yeah.
If you could go back, is there anything that you would do differently?
100%. I would use a company like Boardsi to find my executives. Just kidding. That was a little pitch. Nice. But I would. I don't, I obviously having Boardsi and doing what we do, I would have vetted the executives. I would have done my research. I would have interviewed them. I would have, called their prior people that they worked with. We didn't do any of that. Just I guess I was too too trusting, and just listen to them, and they sounded great, and we thought it was a dream come true. So that's probably would have been the key. And maybe the only other thing I would have done different is when we signed up with or when we got the funding from the investor, I just did not feel like this was the right investor. We were the first tech company they ever invested in, and that just was a red flag for me, because tech companies are so different than what they were used to investing. So I mean, you look at Facebook and how many years they went on with just having investors but no income. But those investors obviously understood the long game, and it paid off for them, obviously. So that was not the type of investor we had a relationship with, and that was just another headache. So those are the two things I would change. Just know who you're bringing in on your team, and probably would have been better if we would have just brought them on as advisors and not partners right off the bat. That probably would have been another difference I would have done.
So you think there's a problem in bringing on investors that aren't experienced in putting their money behind tech?
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a problem here's the exact example. So they did a lot of investing where they would get paid pretty much every month right away off the investment. Meaning it was very retail oriented. And as long as the retail place was, still having POs going out, they were getting paid. So, I think if a investor comes and they might not invest in a tech company, but they understand that this investment is not like, oh, I'm going to invest $200,000 so you can go deliver this product, and your terms are, let's just say, no payments for a year, or I don't know if they're giving up equity. But I think most important thing is whoever that investor is, you have to have a good relationship with them personally and be on an understanding. I personally did not have a relationship with them. Supposedly the CEO did, but at the end we found out that he really didn't. So I think being involved in the whole process, which me and my partner were kind of kept out of, is the key. And basically, before you sign on the dotted line, know the terms.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's a sad truth with a lot of these investments. I mean, for us, like, thankfully I have a really good lawyer in my corner, but like we're bringing on some celebrity investors, and we're really excited about it. This actually, hopefully within the next hour or two. I've been waiting like 2 weeks for this contract, but I mean, basically, like, yeah, they don't have experience investing in tech, and so I was just very clear from the get go. The guy that introed me to them was like, "Yeah, we'll do this thing in a month, and it's going to cost like $5 and blah blah blah." And then I came on, and I was like, "Nope, no way. That's not even close to the scenario." I was like, "It's going to take a couple of months. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Like, let's not have any BS from the get go."
Yep.
So that I can actually like speak on what you just said. I mean, basically, if I hadn't intervened, I would have been the guy that had the partner that was talking with the investors and close with them. So I can totally agree that, like, words get changed over time. Like, banana phone or telephone, whatever that game was. I don't know words today. I can't think of any of the words that I know.
That's because you didn't go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, words get changed. I mean, people will lie to get what they want. People will like stretch the story. So I think, yeah, it goes back to the first point we had. Like, as the founder, you not only have to know everything, about all these different categories, but you also have to have your hand in every little bucket. Physically, like, you have to actually be involved in these processes, or else, like, you don't know what the investors are talking about. You don't know what this person is saying to this person. So, yeah, definitely extremely important. So let's move on to boardsi. Wait, boardsi. Yeah, boardsi. So what made you want to start boardsi?
So being an entrepreneur, I I thrive on being creative. Um, and I think that's what always kept me being an entrepreneur. I love just to create, businesses, and whether it's a brand new idea or whether it's making somebody else's idea better. But I just love to do that, and I also love to bring value to a company, any company, like the one that I did consulting for. I just internally just feel rewarded. I don't need a pat on the back or anything. I can see my results, and I just feel like, okay, I did something good. So my personal goal ultimately is to help businesses, and that can be anything from a startup, garage, no money, to a mid-size, come on as an advisor or possibly a board member. So that's been my dream, and my goal is, from 5 to 7 years to do that. So, but I started after my consulting, I kind of started looking into it and seeing, how easy is it to get on, find some startup company and help them out, and possibly bring some value to them. And I found it was really hard to find a board position or an advisor role. There was a few businesses out there that talked about doing it, and I actually had a friend that worked at one of them, and even he himself said, "Hey, um, they haven't really figured out, and they've been around for years, and they really haven't figured out like the formula to get this, to make that connection just right." So I kind of went back and thought about it and thought of different ways we can do this. And out of it came boardsi. I just knew that it can be done, and obviously not overnight. And that within time and networking, this can be a very beneficial for many executives and the businesses we find that need to help. They need the help and the guidance, and simply need the board seat filled. So with an executive that, bringing on the right executive onto the board, it's just a mutually beneficial thing for both on the both sides. So that's the best part about it.
I mean, I think it's a really cool concept. So do you guys have like competitors out there, or do you feel like what you guys are doing is completely unique, or like where do you stand on that?
We definitely have competitors. There's a couple of really big companies that are based out of UK, and I think they have offices in New York. There's a couple of smaller companies on the West Coast. Funny enough, we were taking our dog for a walk, and this is literally yesterday, and run into a neighbor that I've been seeing. He lives up the street from me, but I've been seeing him for a while. Never even knew what he does for work, and ended up chatting with him. And he does executive recruitment. So 99% of the stuff that he does are full-time jobs. So moving CEOs around or CFOs. But I just found out that part of his company, that office that's based in New York, they do some board position recruitment. So at a minimum, so it's not like that's their model. So I think, yes, there is some competition out there. I think most recruitment companies are not focused on what we are focused on. We don't do any full-time CEO work. We are 100% board position filling and advisory work. So, which is awesome because it really is 90% of it, if not more. They don't mind where you live. It's remote work. 10% of it might ask, I want somebody that's based out of New York because our office is in New York, and quarterly we'd like to, meet with them. But for the most part, it's remote work, which is awesome right now because everybody's remotely working right now anyway. But it gives us a lot of flexibility to really help these executives out. And, they obviously don't have to leave their current position as long as there's no conflict, because some of them do have conflicts. So we might not be able to take a person that's in pharmaceutical and put them on another pharmaceutical board. but other than that, it's I think the key difference in what we do versus our competition is how do we go about doing it. And we've done a lot of testing and we've done a lot of branding, and we are finally figuring out how to exactly make these matches, and everything from personality levels to make sure that they're meeting up with how the founders are running the company or the CEOs running the company, to how the executive is going to come in and help them. So it's been a long process to trying to figure that formula out, but we finally have it, and I think the way that we do it, nobody's doing it that way. So I think that's our little quote unquote secret sauce.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you kind of had a good point there. I mean, there's when you're talking about like, a guy that like does that too on the side, it's like, you have this company that does all this amazing things, and there's probably other companies that do like board stuff as well. But then like you have that secondary competition as well. I mean, same thing with us. Like we run a, in my opinion, amazing personal training platform. We have other competitors that run similar concepts, but then we have those secondary competitors, aka gyms, that are also, taking up a lot of the personal
Yeah.
trainers' time. So I feel like a lot of companies will, especially early on, will be like, oh, we don't have any competition because no one's doing what we're doing. It's like you got to realize really early on, like they're, I mean, even P90X is our competition because
Yeah.
it's getting someone away from the gym, taking them at home, and having them watch a video. So I mean, I think that's a good point that there's definitely always going to be competition.
And in fact, competition is what a successful entrepreneur should be thriving on, because monopoly is never a good thing. So uh, that's another important quality of a successful entrepreneur, is being open and adapting to changes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I wanted to ask, so how many startups have you guys worked with so far?
How many, like, as in me personally, or are you talking about a boardsi?
With boards, and so what's like your guys? What's like a main KPI for you guys? Would it be how many executives you have that are looking for boards, or is it like how many startups are looking for executives? Like, how do you guys look at that?
I mean, it's a if we could have that perfect mixture of we have just the right amount of executives with the right amount of skills that we can match all of them up, that'd be awesome. But that obviously is never the case. We have a lot of executives. We're bringing on a lot of companies, from startups to companies that are trying to reinvent themselves. I mean, we had one of our companies was actually a public company, and they were looking at expanding. This is about a year ago, but they were looking at expanding into UK, and they needed an executive that's I can't remember the exact skills they were looking for, but one of the criteria was we actually want somebody that's based out of UK currently, because we want feet on the ground. We want somebody that knows the area and knows exactly how to get our product, moved from US to UK and be just as successful in UK as in US. So we happen to have an executive based out of UK that had the skills they were seeking for. And we matched them up, and it was a great fit. So they kicked off. So it can be, a public company like that, or a startup that's maybe they've had a Series A funding, maybe they've had seed money and they're getting ready for Series A, and they have no board. Which obviously, when you're about to go for Series A funding, you should have some advisors on your board. So when you present your pitch deck, you can say, hey, here's my advisory board. And obviously your company is going to look that much better in an investor's mind, because they'll feel better about putting their money into your pocket. So I don't know. Oh, you asked me specifically how many startups? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I mean, we probably on an average week, we'll probably be talking to 3 to 5 different companies, and they can be startups, or they can be coming to us. Myself, I had one call on Monday with a brand new company. Actually, not brand new; they've been around for 2 years, and they are just now looking for funding, and and starting to build their advisory board and trying to get their prototype product to actually produce the product. They've made all the connections. They know exactly where it's going to get produced, so they're ready for the next step. So that can be anywhere from 3 to 5 companies a week.
And so, is your network of executives like diversified, or do you just have like a bunch of, healthcare CEOs? Like, what does your network of executives look like?
Yeah, actually, that's I'm glad you brought that up. It's very diversified. That was one of our drives, because there was a lot of laws coming out where public companies had to have diversified boards, or else they were going to be starting to get fined by the state. I know that's in California, and there's a few other states that followed that. So that was actually one of our drives. So yes, building a diverse board isn't easy, but it's super important. Boards with diversity just simply work better. I just heard somebody. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I was just. It was a webinar I was on, and this individual, he's actually he's working with us to building some training modules for board members, the executives, and for the companies, so that they can interview and bring on the boards correctly. And he actually quoted saying, boards with diversity, whether it's female or race, ethnic background, being raised differently, aka me being from a communist country, but anything like that, any kind of diversity like that, just makes the board work better. It brings in new thinking, new insights, and the perspective about the company and where the company is going, the markets and business practices. It just brings a different perspective to the CEO and to the founders. So I think it's crucial to have a diversified board, and we definitely have a executive network where it's very diversified. So actually, last company we built for, it was an umbrella company. He has 3 separate companies under that, and we built his entire board that was heading all the companies. So it was one board for all 3 companies, and he literally came to us and said, "I'm not even going to talk to you unless you can build a diversified board for us." And he walked out with 5 really awesome executives.
And so, how does your process work? Is it like an automated thing where I'm like boom, 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 and all of a sudden I have like Bill Gates on my board, or is it more like I come on board and you guys will actually interact with me, and you're more like a consultant where you'll take my company and then you'll individually find people that work for me? Like, what is that the more the process or the former?
So it's kind of a mixture of both, right? So with an executive, what we normally do as we bring them on is we do a onboarding call with them. So it's kind of a short interview. It takes about 20 minutes, half an hour. We have some questions for them. They answer those questions. We utilize that to kind of build a profile on them. With the company side, it's actually very similar. So as a company comes to us and they need some help, we do an onboarding call with them. The questions are slightly different, but there is obviously human interaction. So we try to figure out exactly who they're seeking, what kind of skills they're looking for from this individual. Do they have any other stipulations? He has to live here, she has to be from there. Looking for somebody from Harvard. I mean, it can be literally anything, that detail. Once they do that, we basically do 2 things. One, we place them on our platform, which opens it up to all of our executives. So that might not get them exactly what they're looking for, but it will get them some people that they can start interviewing. But on the back end, we do our matching, and it's partially AI. So our software will do some matchups and give us some suggestions. But we also do a deeper dive if we have to, and screen it, humanly screen the people and go, yeah, we think that this will be a good match. And then we set up the connection, meaning the interview process. So normally, I've had I've had people that have told me that they build their board and it's taken as long as a year. I mean, it can be a long process. We can usually dive that down to about a week, where within a week you'll be at least interviewing people. So let's say you interview 10 people, you're looking for 2 people out of those 10, you found one, and you come to us and say, I need more. So we, obviously go and get more. But within a couple of weeks, you've interviewed a bunch of people, and then you can start deciding and making a decision. So I feel like we can take the process of 1 year probably down to a month. If you really want to be picky which there's nothing wrong with that, then you can stretch that longer and just keep interviewing people. But having access to executives that have already basically said, hey, I want to be on the board, I want to be an advisor, here's my skills, here's what I can do. I mean, that's a huge step ahead versus, how are you going to go find those advisors? And you can always hit up LinkedIn. You can always hit up, tons of other social media sites and Monster and hope for the best. But it's not a job. You're not seeking an employee. You're seeking somebody that's very unique, and somebody that wants to do that on the side and knows what it takes to get it done.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I think my biggest advice for networking for everyone is, because you can't just go on LinkedIn and type in like advisor and then go, hey, you're my advisor now, and they're going to be great and everything's going to be happy. So my biggest advice for everyone is always just to just network with as many people as you can, and like you'll eventually find that person. Kind of like the year thing you mentioned.
Yep.
I mean, like my quick story for an example of I don't have an official board yet. Like I just made it myself because we're gonna raise another round. I don't feel like redoing it anyway. So, but like my hypothetical board, basically, I used to drive for a Lyft on the side and Uber and all that stuff. And I picked up this guy named Patrick in an Uber about a year and a half ago. And then Patrick ended up being really wealthy and connected. And he brought me to a networking event. And then he brought me to this like really weird, like Harvey Winston or Harry. I always do that. So I was saying literally the week that Harvey Weinstein went on trial, we went to this event. And it was a Harry Winston event. That's what it is. It's like a really nice, like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's like a very luxurious brand. And I kept calling it Harvey Winston or something like that. And I was saying it at the event and everyone kept looking at me weird. And I was like, I'm saying their name right. Like, what are they looking at me for?
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's my bad. Anyways, yeah, so he brought me there. I met a guy there. We ended up talking afterwards, and that guy became my investor. And then on top of that, he introduced me to a couple other people. So now I have about 3 board members that are all investors and like my really good advisors on my group. And I met them all because I picked this guy up in an Uber. And then actually, funnier than that, these two, like the 2 huge celebrity investors that we're bringing in this, like I just got another text, hopefully like literally in 30 minutes. I only know them because the guy that introed me to them, I also picked up in an Uber. So it's like, I mean, just network. And I actually host networking events myself. So, I mean, it's like, you'd think that's where the connections would come from. But like, I think the point is like, you never know where you're going to meet people from. And so I think just getting on LinkedIn and starting to connect with people is the best way to do it. And if you want to streamline that process, you go with a company like boardsi, where you guys can basically go, oh yeah, we already have these people. We've already taken the time to drive the Ubers and Lyfts of the world to figure these people out. So
Absolutely.
That's really cool, man. And so what would be the 3, if I'm a boardsi startup, what are the 3 main reasons for why I would want to like go through with the process?
I would say we just talked about one of them: access to executives from all industries with skill sets to help basically at every stage from startup to a company that's going public or a public company. I mean, we have a wide range of executives, so I would say that's probably the biggest benefit. 2, we also talked about, which is speed. There is no need to go out and start searching like you're talking about, or shaking hands, or start driving Uber or Lyft. Actually, you won't do that now, but
Definitely, yeah.
No need for that. You'll get a choice of top tier executives that will bring the skill set you will need for your startup. And then coaching from C-suite executives on what to do at the right times, industry knowledge from executives that have been through, the pitfalls, and can help cautiously you as a startup, you as a CEO through them, so that make sure that you succeed. And if they have a tie-in, whether it's a percent of the company, or obviously percent and getting paid, or however the structure is of bringing this executive on your board, there is nothing but benefits for him to make sure that you succeed. I mean, they want to help you to help themselves.
Absolutely. And so if I'm a top executive, like how do I get involved?
Actually, really easy. Obviously, you can go to boardsi.com, click on the registration form, or just click on the Join the Advisor Team button. Schedule a call with our team. Our first thing we do is explain exactly how, what we do, how we work. You can also just call us if you don't mind me dropping the number.
Let's do it.
916-750-2537. And at the same time, you can email us at schedule@boardsi.com, and we'll get back to you and schedule you on our calendar, and basically have the interview process.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to add that to the end notes for the podcast.
Awesome.
And then so if I'm a startup, how do I get involved?
Very similar. I mean, same phone number works. I think as far as email, we have a special email set up, advisors@boardsi.com. That lets us know that you're looking for advisors. And then, there's, you can schedule a call with one of our guys just the same way. I think best way is just to email or just give us a call and let us know you want to join as a company.
Very cool. And then finally, what is the ultimate goal for boardsi long term? Like, where do you guys want to be in 5 years?
Well, we already have the most curated board and advisory positions in the world, and we're adding, every day we add more executives. Our goal is to be the go-to for every startup to small or large business in the world, as well as on the executive side. We're always looking to grow the executive network. We're adding every day where, our executives, account executives are on the phone literally 8 hours a day. Always looking to expand our talent and diversity. We want to become known as the company that connects the right executive with the company that is seeking their expertise. We are also looking to achieve status, and this is obviously branding, that when a board has a meeting and they are talking about a member retiring and they need to find a new member, they simply say, "Hey, Joe, just contact boardsi and get the resumes, get this process started so we can finish this quick." I mean, that would be my ultimate goal, where we're just, you're talking about a board, you're talking about boardsi. Taking the process from, we said, from a year-long process down to a month or 2 months is the key. And I think right now it's just all about branding and getting our name out there, and having everybody know that if they're struggling and they need help, we're here to help.
Awesome, man. Well, cool. This was such a cool interview, Martin. I appreciate it. I'm excited to, be able to spread the word for your great company. And I'm excited that things worked out for you after, the 2008 crash and everything like that. And man, I'm excited to see what you guys do in the future. And once coronavirus dies down, just kind of seeing, how you guys pivot and where you go from there.
Yeah, I think once this is all over and we're all released, the ones that are hanging in and trying to do their part, and we're treating every day like a normal day. Switching to remote work for us was easy because we actually had everything already in place. We just choose to go into an office, so that was easy. But I think there's a lot we're going to learn from this, and when we come out of this, I think we're all going to come out stronger. So, and by the way, when we all come out of this and I can get on a plane, I have a couple meetings in LA already scheduled. So, and I believe you're in LA, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's meet up for sure.
Perfect. Awesome.
Boom. Drinks on me once the bars are open.
Put that weight back on. Hey, you know what else?
Exactly.
You're talking about dropping some weight. I can't say the same. I'm still working out, miss my gym, and I'm definitely not working out as hard as I used to. But I picked up a new hobby, and that is I'm making sourdough bread, and it is
Nice.
phenomenal. And it's not helping me lose weight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, my roommate's good friend came over with the greatest Oreo cake I've ever had in my entire life, and I was just like, so not only did I not jog last night, but I had Oreo cake. So now I'm gonna go on a jog right now. Dude, yeah, awesome, man, Martin. I'm looking forward to meeting up with you. Yeah, best of luck with everything, man. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the interview, Corey. I look forward to meeting with you.
Thanks again to everyone who's listening now for season 3. This isn't a huge podcast by any means, but we just hit another 10,000 downloads for season 2. To be honest, I'm just really glad that people are coming back and listening to multiple episodes and telling me about them. It's just exciting for me. I've been able to meet the coolest people. I've had some of the most incredible conversations, and I've honestly learned a lot. Had it not been for entrepreneurship, I wouldn't have met any of these people. And I can officially say that I've completed over 60 amazing podcast interviews. Let's keep them coming. Don't forget to download the Westrive app. Leave us 5 stars if you can. And if you're a personal trainer, be sure to sign up at train.westriveapp.com. Thanks again for all your support. Subscribe if you can. And have an incredible week. We strive.